Okay, so we're live. Good morning, everybody. As you know, I'm Rob Wilson, and this is an agent update for Love+Bitcoin on Saturday, the 16th of May. So, look, kicking off, the impression from our end is that you're all at various stages of building your agencies. You're getting your domain names, customizing your agent's webpage, but obviously it's been pretty busy this end, and I just wanted to start by sort of filling you all in on where we're at and what we've been up to over the last couple of weeks. So you'll be aware by now that we've brought on our first Shopify agent, which we're going to go into some detail on this morning. That's required us to code an inventory upload tool, which Peter's going to take you through in a few short moments. We've also been finessing our prospecting sort of procedures and building the asset library for you all to use as we roll that sort of plan out. So far as this morning is concerned, we're going to approach this webinar in two phases. Firstly, Pete's going to take you through the technical concepts which are driving us as we move forward, and then when that's done and we're happy that we sort of explained ourselves from that perspective, we'll move into what that means in terms of the plans for all of us moving forward. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Peter now, and let him rip. Stand by, Pete. I'm just going to hand over a presentation to you.
Thank you all. Okay, and I'll confirm. Can you can see it okay, Rob?
Should just be coming up now. Stand by.
Very good. So I'll confirm with Rob that you can see it all, but what I'm going to do really is just pan back a moment and walk you through the agent dashboard generally, talk a little bit about each of the things that you can do there, and then go into a bit more detail on the Shopify front, which is certainly where I envisage the first sort of burst of activity, the first targets, if you like, will be quite good there. There's a sort of bigger picture plan to begin with Shopify and move through some of the larger platforms such as Magento, WooCommerce, BigCommerce, PrestaShop, etc., etc. But for various reasons, Shopify is a good fit to start with. But before we even go into that sort of that quite specific technical stuff, I just wanted to sort of do an overview walkthrough of the agent dashboard and talk a little bit about how it works. So Rob, can I confirm that you can see my BitScan login screen?
Absolutely, mate. We're looking at you now.
Okay, cool. So the first thing to say is that this is your starting point, really. Navigate yourself to BitScan and head to login. Everything goes through your BitScan user. It obviously remembers me. Once you're in here, you'll be familiar with this area. Now, when you're in this screen, you're acting as a user, of course. So you're, primarily it's a way of, managing your listing on the BitScan directory and your personal profile. None of which is hugely important for your agency role, for your, you're making products and services available to merchants, to customers. The link I wanted to point out to you or show you is down here. So it's a Love+ agent login. So once I've logged in, I can just scroll down there, click there, and I'm away. I'm here. And now I'm now in my Love+ agent dashboard, and this is the sort of home screen for lots of activities. We've run pushing a few updates over the last little while. If you don't see this screen, if you're redirected to just simply back to this screen, that means that you're not recorded as an active agent with us, so you'll need to get in touch. support@bitscan.co is the best email. So flick a note there and we'll work out exactly why you wouldn't have access to these agency tools. That update was really around just pulling some of the more powerful import tools into agents only. We don't really want the a merchant to be able to run test imports or anything like that. So, and we're envisaging supporting you guys quite firmly, quite strongly. So So that's why there's a bit of credential management there, if you like. You won't get the agent dashboard unless you're an authorized agent. Okay, I'm just going to do that once more just for the, why not? So there we go. I've gone to BitScan. I've logged in. I'm on the login screen. I'm now going to ignore all this stuff for now, head straight for the Love+ Agent login, and there I am. This Twitter feed here is quite quiet at the moment, but we envisage ramping it up, and we'd certainly encourage all of you, and indeed us, we're looking to have conversations on Twitter, so do tweet, probably more on this in a future webinar, but certainly we'll be encouraging you to tweet when a merchant comes on board. You can tweet questions about the platform. That's intended to be a sort of ongoing conversation between us and you guys, and even you guys and the merchants. So anyway, that's just a simple Twitter feed. Okay, then we'll do a little perusal down here, and these are the sorts of things that you can do as an agent. So you've got the updating of the brand page, which I think you've covered previously. We've got this creation of a listing, setting up of a store, setting up of a trader, invoicing a customer, reports and logs, etc., etc. Now, one of the key things, key updates recently has been that when we go to, I'll just jump through a couple of steps. When we go to, for example, update a Shopify product inventory, you'll start to see this appearing everywhere. So it's saying, first, please select the customer whose inventory you are uploading. And you'll note that these are the people customers that are available to me as an agent. Now that list of customers that I can manage is generated by the user referral. So I'll refer you to the wiki page, and if we're clever, we can pop that link into chat. There's a wiki page entitled "It All Starts with a Referral." As and when a merchant or indeed any customer agrees to a product or a service from you, the sort of the first thing we need to do is to get them in as a referred customer from you. So at this point, I'll just show you quickly. If I just go back to the dashboard, these referrals here, and I can check the status of my referrals. This shows me people that I have referred, and then the little blue member shows the people that I have referred who have then become members. So I won't go too much further into that. Perhaps that's something that we can chat about at a future webinar, but I will say that it's vitally important that the first thing you do is refer them, because we're going to restrict your ability to provide services and products to the people that you have referred. Now that's important because there's things like trailing commissions. There's the once you've got them as a referred customer, that's effectively a relationship that will it's persistent. They will stay as your customer throughout their entire throughout the platform forever. Lots of benefits flow to that. So making sure that it's your referred customers is really it's important for the integrity of the platform, but it's important for you as well. It's good you guys. So make sure that happens. Okay, so this is the agent dashboard, as we're saying. In a moment, we're going to go into the Shopify store specifically. But first, I want to talk a little bit about the type of dev that's going on here, the types of changes that we're making. If I go into invoice a customer, the observant amongst you may have noticed that that's actually new in the last fortnight also. So that wasn't there previously. So a new option appears. The ordering of these options may change. The appearance of this dashboard may change. The functionality contained within these screens may change. We're going through an agile development process where we're iterating as quickly as we can to deliver the most valuable things in a minimal viable product to you as quickly as possible. So in this case, this will be left alone for a while now because it's not our focus. But this is a way that if you've done some consulting for, say I've done some consulting for Walmart and they've agreed to pay 450 Australian dollars for that consulting, this is just a way of banking it basically. So it will generate the invoice, it'll work. I can share this URL with the client and they can remit the funds. So that's all sort of taken care of. That's a way of consultancy billing for anyone, but note again, it's only for your referred customers. Okay, so I guess the takeout from that little spiel is that the look and the feel, and indeed to some degree the functionality can and will change. What's important is start to get you familiar with the concepts of the types of services you can perform and how the platform helps you do them. So I'll just go through them briefly. Create a listings, obvious. You'll be able to create and dress a listing and bill for that service. That's where you'd head there. Invoice a customer was exactly what I just showed you, which is a catch-all for any additional consulting. You may be able to upsell to a merchant a support package where they agree to 2 hours per month, and you pop in every first Friday and see them physically and say, so how's it going? And you can build that through that option. So the concepts are what's important here. Okay, having said all that, the first target is our first target for sales is existing Shopify merchants. I'm going to show you a little bit about how the technology works for importing a Shopify merchant, and then I'm going to hand back to Rob, who will talk a bit about prospecting and how we've identified a stream that will probably take us through the next 2 or 3 months in terms of the conversations we want to be having and who with, and how we're going to forward to you a bunch of leads with various degrees of temperature, and how that's all going to work. But first I'm going to show you. Okay, so we're in the agent dashboard. I'm going to go to set up a merchant store. Here we are. Now this is something that I refer to of it changing quite quickly. I've mentioned to you the referrals already. These steps 1 through 4, creating the account, request the user credentials, log in as a new merchant user, make a note of the user ID. These are all options for non-Shopify users. So in the event that you get a Shopify customer, we're going to bypass straight to number 9, which says, or if the merchant is on Shopify, start here. So I'll just repeat that. Let's imagine now that I've got a Shopify customer who's given me an export file from their Shopify install. That's a very easy process of just logging into their Shopify and clicking export. Perhaps we'll cover the specifics of that in a future webinar, but it's very easy. This is what you would do. You'd click Set Up Store. You'd ignore all this. You'd hop to Merchant on Shopify, start here. You'd follow this form saying, okay, I'm going to install Walmart. Base currency US dollars. Wallet address to remit to. I'm just going to grab. Feel free to send coin to this wallet address at any point. Countries to ship to. Let's say it's US and Australia. In fact, let's say US only. And the shipping cost per item may be 0. Let's say a $10 per item cost. Now, what I found and what we found with this first implementation that we've done for Shopify is that these 2 issues, countries to ship to and the shipping cost per item, that requires a bit of a conversation with your customer. What we try to do is to give them a kind of a let's get this going type pitch where we say, look, how about the sales are not going to be difficult for you to deal with. You're not going to sell thousands of items and hundreds of thousands of dollars in the first 3 months. So let's work out something that preserves your margin. We'll have a per item shipping cost of, let's say $15 in this case, and we'll keep it simple in terms of shipping. Now, the broader inventory, the more challenging it is to take a one-size-fits-all approach. At that point, you would need to flick it to us to assist, and we will assist, certainly in this first iteration. So we can work out what's going to be. I will be able to work with you to communicate with your client about what's possible in the short term. Bearing in mind that what we're pitching here is let's get you into the marketplace, let's get you familiar with Bitcoin, and you're adding value to the merchant in loads of other ways as well, just in terms of the the Bitcoin University. I'll go back to the form now. I skipped over this one, but this is a new store and listing setup. So in the event that you haven't previously created a listing for this customer, you'll want to tick that. If you have previously created a listing for the customer and they're now coming on for the store, then you leave it. This is a new one, so I'll tick. I'll hit submit, and it's this easy really. Upload the CSV file as exported from Shopify for the smoothest results. So we don't want you to, or you shouldn't have to do any heavy lifting or any cutting, pasting, shifting, and work with the spreadsheet to make it work. As long as it's an export direct from Shopify, that's the CSV file. It's just literally the case of finding it. I won't run an import now, but I'll show you what the file looks like. So it's somewhere in here we've got a products export. Let's have a little look at how that looks. It's just going to launch the app. Here we go. So this is looking at a CSV file in Max Numbers app, which is not the easiest, but you'll see that you've got this fairly complex bit of data: handle, title, body. This is all the information that Shopify requires to have saleable items, and it's organised in a way. It's the structure. Our integration is built around this structure, so it's very simple to just import. This one, it's surprisingly quick actually. This is sort of 500 products, and it takes I don't know, 10 seconds. It's really very quick. So this is the Chamois Gourmet. In the future, I will make this export file available to you guys. Possibly I'll drop it in the wiki, just so in case you have any issues, you can just check that the structure of your CSV is making sense with the structure of this one. So, for example, Shopify doesn't really have different versions, being a cloud. It's all done for you. But in the event that Shopify updates their CSV exports, and in the event that they shuffle some columns around, it's most likely that we will be aware of that and make the change without you having to notice any problem. But it's always possible that you'll be the poor chap who goes to import a Shopify CSV and all of the descriptions are missing. So there's that file, and literally I would just drag and drop that into here, and it would be done. That the outcome from that, you get a green tick eventually, looks something like this. So it's this is the one that literally just I put in Chamois Gourmet, I filled in their wallet, I filled in their shipping information, and it's pulled in, and it's it's got all of their categories, it's got all of their products. There they are, all available for sale. And as I said, it would be we're looking at the point we bring on merchants. We are looking to bang the drum a little bit. So do let us know. I'm personally quite interested in sort of kicking the tires of every import as well, just making sure that it's behaving the way I expect. But it really is intended to be that easy. What we want is to give you a tool that will let you the real effort and the real value you're delivering is the communication, the awareness of Bitcoin, the communication with the merchant, and the sale process to the merchant isn't just around the uptick in sales that they get from a new Bitcoin channel, but it's around the technology and being involved in this new space and readying the field, if you like, so getting into Bitcoin so that as Bitcoin grows, that they're familiar with it themselves and they're ready to take advantage. All that sort of good stuff that I know you guys and Rob have chatted about previously. Okay, so that's the Shopify importer. I'll pop back into the agent dashboard, and yeah, one of the key things that will change fairly soon about this is the point of them, because the way the workflow works currently is, having done all that, you then return to set up a store, enter the ID to generate the invoice. So this is then the invoice for that customer. I think I will. I look forward to working. I'll walk you guys through this one-on-one as and when some merchants come on board as well. So we'll make that a subject of a future webinar. And this is definitely an area that will change probably as early as next sprint, so next week or the week after. So what we've covered today is just how easy it is to set up a store. It's basically a case of logging into BitScan, navigating to the agent dashboard, selecting set up a store, selecting the Shopify option, completing the details, I'll just show you the final page, dropping the file, and it's done. It gives you a green tick and you're finished. Okay, I think that's all for me. So, Rob, have you got any questions about any of that process? I know that you're fairly familiar with it, but I'm not sure you've seen it in as much detail as that previously. So,
Sure. So a couple of things. First is that you tapped in a user ID in generating the invoice, and it might be just an idea of showing the lads exactly where they find that user ID, where that comes from.
That's something that I'll be tempted to say we will iterate away before it actually becomes real. As in, what I'm imagining is that rather than entering the merchant ID, what we're going to do is present a billing screen here. We'll connect these together. The merchant ID is a function of the customer itself. So that final connection piece between the import itself and the billing is currently locked in. So that's kind of a little bit of a feature as well as a bug. I mean, it will allow you to do some tests. It will allow you to do some imports without paying. But I think I'll remove that ability to just have to enter the ID. I think I'll replace this box where I just happen to know the user ID. You can also see my user ID there. I'll replace that box with the same intelligence here where you actually have a drop down and you select. So the main thing I'm trying to communicate right now is just how to export from Shopify, where to go within the agent dashboard to drag and drop and import it. The billing side of things, I think we'll return to possibly next week.
Super. Okay. And the only other thing, Pete, is to just change tack slightly and go back to the actual agent's brand page and perhaps talk about the dev that we're aiming for there in the short term, in terms of, for example, clicking through on a listing icon and how we want to move that.
Okay, so this is going to be a nice sort of segue between you and I, Rob, as well, probably, which is what's happening on the brand page. So this is my agency, or ours. This is the one that we're running to prove all the concepts. I'm going to talk a little bit about prospecting, what we've got there. When I hand over to Rob shortly, he'll be explaining a little bit about how it's going to work practically. But as discussed, we've identified Shopify as a good fit. Your average Shopify user is familiar with a cloud application. They're often real bricks and mortar stores, but they've been supported by Shopify's ease of use into selling online or using their point of sale system. So they're sort of they're open to technology, which makes them out of the gate a good fit for discussing Bitcoin. Shopify allows you to accept Bitcoin, so there's a whole subset there that are already familiar with Bitcoin, and the conversation with them is along the lines of, well, this is a marketplace, it's a new channel, so it's still worth talking to, and they'll at least be all over Bitcoin. Okay, so having said that, we're going to then identify Shopify. What we want to do with the brand site is, and something that we'll be working on probably literally today and over the weekend and this week, is building in some additional calls to action within your agency page that allow Shopify specific. So rather than having this generic, get in touch for any reason, we'll have a form that refers to Shopify specifically, and then it will just automatically warm the lead up. We'll be looking at giving there'll be a lead scoring system, and Rob will discuss with you how we deliver centrally, from us to you, anything up to a few hundred leads. We'll talk about how that works. But in other dev news on that front, you'll see that I referred Chamois Gourmet. There's a bit of additional look and feel dev that looks like it's needed here, because you can see Boston Chandlery, which is a referred customer, is kind of pushing the site down a little. But once you've set up stores or referred businesses, their details appear here within your agency site. So it's all agency branded. Chamois Gourmet. And when we click on Chamois Gourmet, we've got the Chamois Gourmet logo, the description, and that's just pulled that all in from BitScan without me as an agent having to do anything. The dev that's happening, which will be the subject of a future webinar, but it's not far off at all, is that when we hit visit me at the moment, it refers me to their website. So this is then sending traffic out. What we're looking to unroll in the next short period is the ability for the entire store. So that's this look and feel to exist within your agency brand. So instead of it will exist on BitScan, of course, because that's the kind of the marketplace, the parent site, if you like. So that's where it probably has the most eyes. But if you can envisage a non-BitScan branded site, which is in this case Bitsy branded, and in your case it may be whatever your agency branding is, the categories and products will be available without having to leave your agency site. What's quite nice about that is it cements and locks in really the fact that that the relationship between the merchant and their agency, that's you, is strong. BitScan's a platform providing the tools and the infrastructure, but when they're actually browsing, you can walk them through their entire store on your website. So you're building that relationship, and we're looking to support that. We want you to have a very strong relationship with any merchants because as we iterate further products and services, such as prominence advertising, advertorials, all manner of other products and services that you as an agent will be able to offer to the merchant. It's important that it's your relationship to the merchant that is the center of that. That's the strong bit. So within this brand site, we'll be looking at you'll be able to browse the entire catalog without leaving your agency site, and that's coming very soon too. Is that what you were referring to, Rob? That answers that piece?
Absolutely. And I think the whole point here was to put these tools in the hands of agents, globally. And what we're aiming for here is to give you guys the ability to build your own Bitcoin commerce nodes wherever you are. The fact that what you're leveraging, if you like, BitScan tech is great, but we're trying to drive the BitScan brand out of your business so far as we can. So as far as anyone is concerned, if you happen to be, for example, the Bitcoin commerce hub for San Antonio, that's who everyone is dealing with, both your merchants and your customers. There's no need for them to be bamboozled with another brand. We want your brand to be emboldened by everything you're doing and all the custom that's generating. So that's very, very much our focus. We're just sort of building it as we fly it, and that's where we are.
And with that, and back to you, Rob. I've sort of laid the groundwork, if you like. I've mentioned Shopify and its suitability, and I'm personally quite enthused by Shopify is a great platform, but it makes a lot of sense to me. It really helps me to sort of zone in on something very tangible, because one of the issues with Bitcoin commerce in general is that it applies to commerce in general. So how do you take on commerce? Well, you don't. It's too wide a net. So that's the thinking behind the building of this specific integration tool. I'll hand back to you to present, Rob, and to just talk a little bit about prospecting, I guess, and what we've been up to in that regard.
Yeah, absolutely. Just changing the presentation right, Saber. Okay, guys. Well, look, as Pete's alluding to, when you're tackling a new market, if you like, a new concern, you've got to start somewhere. And so it was really by happenstance that our first, sort of paying merchant happened to be Shopify, and that forced us to build the uploading tool, the customized uploading tool that Pete's taking you through. And that's really the first channel that we'd like to press. So with that in mind, we've been out to market to source some software that provides us with leads, not just for ourselves, but for you, our agents. So we now have that in the, as Pete said, in the tens of thousands. And what we would like to do is drip feed those lists out to you, specific to your areas. So, for example, San Antonio, we're going to be pushing you over the next 72 hours your first 200 Shopify leads for Texas. Why 200? Good point. We need to be careful here, I think, as we kick off, that we don't saturate either yourselves or ourselves. This all works if we're getting to the stage where we're running a couple of active conversations at any one time. So based on the sort of take up we're seeing, about 1% on a cold list seems to be, at the moment at least, about right, which is, to my mind, pretty impressive given the fact that we're relatively unknown and the product is clearly new. So the fact that we take great heart, for example, that Shami's Gourmet is coming on as a paying customer based on what they're seeing, and it gives us confidence that this market is ready to be tapped, and that's what we'd like to do. But we'd like to do that in a measured way, giving yourselves and ourselves the chance to react sort of professionally and and expediently to any business that might be in the offing. As we move down the road, and for example, where Shopify is starting to come on board in numbers, and we're all comfortable with that, then we'll move to the next base technology and start prospecting in that area. Believe me, when you start looking across sort of, once you get to 5 base technologies, there is enough work there and enough potential business to keep us all very busy and increasingly profitable. So that's sort of our concept. None of this ignores the fact, however, that when you hit up using direct sort of email marketing, a new list, it is essentially cold. And so we have to be really careful and gentle about the way we bring people on. So where that's concerned, we're moving on 2 fronts. The first is we are developing email assets, which we'll be sending to you again over the next 72 hours, that we think stand the best chance of leading people through your own sort of reverse funnel and generating that conversation that you need. Our experience so far has been that the game is all about getting a prospect or a lead to a stage where he wants to talk to you. And once he's talking to you in this sort of setting, either in person or via a webinar link or whatever it is, you're very close to a conversion. So those assets, as well as the list of prospects, are going to be coming your way very shortly. The other issue is the video asset, the explainer animation. What we've been doing over the last week is commissioning voiceovers that fit the environment you're working in. So, for example, for San Antonio, we have an American voiceover which will be stitching in to your own animation and rendering that so that it fits for your agency. We have another one for Australia and another one for sort of UK. And we can actually blend those into your email assets to, again, as another tool to sort of help generate the warming up of your potential prospects, and hopefully generate some good conversion statistics through that. We accept at this stage that you're at different stages in your own sort of prospecting and marketing endeavors, but so far as your business with BitScan is concerned, we're really keen to nut Shopify now, and focus on that. And so the assets that we'll be providing to you are focused on that. That's not to say that you can't continue what you're doing elsewhere. Of course you can, but we're quietly confident that that's going to be the quickest means to sort of getting you up and running with a revenue stream, which is we accept is why you're doing this and what it's all about. And that's kind of where we are at the moment. I hope you can see that our foot is to the floor here, and we are. I know it's been a couple of weeks, but we want to get you to the start line as quickly as possible. So with that in mind, we really need to to sweep up now any sort of residual concerns or conversations that you may have regarding establishing the agency itself and move into this prospecting stage, so that can govern our interactions and your efforts sort of moving forward. What we'll be doing alongside that is using BitScan's brand to promote what you are doing, and hopefully driving traffic into you so far as we can through our Twitter feed, through Pinterest, etc., etc. So as soon as your agencies now are ready to go, and you just have to give us the green light, and we'll be smashing out as much PR as we can across those social media channels to sort of get the word out. So my call to action really is to finish up now on establishing your agency as a going concern. Make the trouble of getting some content into the bottom of your brand pages. We'll be passing you the login to the Love+Bitcoin Twitter feed, so you can start talking about what you are doing as you are doing it. And we need to start really sort of generating that interest from your various nodes in what you're doing. In the meantime, we will get both the assets to you and your first 200 leads, so you can set up your own, bulk email account. We recommend, services like MailChimp or iContact. You literally, drag and drop your CSV file with your leads in there. You create your emails, and we can advise on look and feel if that's of interest to you. We have the content for you, and boom, we bang out your first 200, and and let's see what we get. Let's put our nets in the water, fellas, is what I'm saying, and sort of get this show on the road. Well, look, I hope that's been useful to you. Pete, have you got any more sort of closing remarks you'd like to make?
I look forward to. There's probably another couple of technical webinars that we can do. What I'm hoping people can get as a takeout is just the overall concepts, as I mentioned already, just to see that this is what's going to be possible. This is where you go to do it. I think just around the corner are some more technical support with things like marketing and automated marketing and how those programs can work. So that's probably for another week. But for now, it's exciting stuff, and let's press on.
Awesome. Cheers, Pete. Thanks all. See you again.